Right, hello. So, apologies, I was a couple of minutes late going on. We've changed from GMT to BST in the UK. That's Greenwich Mean Time to British Summer Time. So I'm not actually, although I changed a lot of the clocks, I had changed the one in here. Well, it's meant to update automatically, and it didn't. So I was looking at the clock and still thinking, oh, I've got another hour, but I actually hadn't. So I'm on now. So for those of you that didn't hear, I'm just going to open one of these really big beers. I could do with one in all honesty. We'll see if this period of isolation turns me into an alcoholic. I don't know. Anyway, so the problem is the UK has said today we might even have 6 months of isolation or quarantine measures in place. Maybe longer, maybe shorter. So it might be 6 months of not seeing people, weird sort of hours. The shops are open, lots of shops not open. It's all bizarre, isn't it? I'm still trying to get my head around some of this. And the idea this could be going on for months. As opposed to like 3 weeks might be quite. No, it's one of those left Belgian beers. They're quite nice. In a lot of places, even where beer's been selling out, this hasn't been selling out just simply because it's too expensive per bottle for a lot of people. But I'd much rather spend money on stuff like this than Foster's or whatever. Problem is these get a massive head on them, so I'll have to sort of keep checking how that's pouring in a minute. Stop for a bit. That's why I've got the 1 litre beer stein out, just because it's harder to get this to accidentally overflow. I don't know if YouTube says about drinking or not drinking on streams. It wouldn't be surprised me if they're funny about it, but they've never done anything before when I've streamed. It's like a big beer stein type thing, Iron Drac. It came when I think I bought like at a Christmas time once. There was like a Christmas offer on one of the big bottles of beer somewhere, and it came with one of these. So that's why I have it. But it's quite handy for the big, like nearly 1 litre bottles of beer because yeah, it's the Brun one, as in brown, I guess, is yeah, it's like caramel flavoured, slightly caramel flavoured beer. It's quite dark. It's not an overpowering caramel taste, so what do you mean? Daniel says you can drink, but you can't drink if donations ask you to. What do you mean? I don't think most people who donate tell me not to drink. A lot of them say put this towards beer. Right, David, cheers to you. And Angst-Ridden Annoyance, thank you very much. Said, cheers for your video, by the way, mate. Quite long-term viewer. Grab yourself a beer or 2 more. See? Told you. That's what happens. They encourage me to drink. They don't discourage it. But yeah, Left is good. What's a shame is that Aldi, I don't know if it was a Christmas-only thing, they were doing like a budget version of this. It wasn't like budget beer. It tastes really nice, but it was actually a, like similar thing to this, but it was like £1 to £2 a bottle. Not... At the moment, these are 2 for £5 at Tesco, even though they sold out a lot of the other beer. So £2.50 for one of these, which is way more than a pint. It's really good. Well, I'll put all the hazmat gear on for this, Peach. I think it's worth putting that sort of gear on for this stuff. What I'm going to see if I can find in a minute, because I got them ready for streaming today, and I reckon I left them in the other room. For the people who didn't hear, because the clock's changed, I forgot to change the one in here typically. And I thought, well, I've still got another hour before the stream starts, and I realised I hadn't. It is 6.5% volume, so in US proof terms, that would be double that. So that would be like 13 proof in the US. But it's 3.9 units for the entire bottle, so it's like having 4 shots of whiskey or something, basically. But it's a good taste. I like it. Right, so what I'm going to do quickly is I'm going to go see if I can find where I got the gas masks I was going to show today that came yesterday, and I haven't got a chance to show them. I probably left them in the other room when I filmed a video. Alright, glad you're off, Peach. But yeah, your head was about to explode in horrible headache. I've had a horrible headache today, but I think it's just because I overslept and then got dehydrated and overslept. So, be back in a second. I just want to see about those masks. Yeah, found them. They were in the other room. So, yeah, Daniel, don't forget to like the stream. Yeah, alcohol is kind of essential for most of the world, I think. You know, a lot of people say the English are functioning alcoholics, and I could understand that. Anyway, so I got another Czech CM4, and the nice thing with this CM4 is it actually fits me. It's my size. So just to show you, I'll put this on a minute. Thank you very much, Eltrix. Cheers to the possible ends of the world. Yeah. Well, I think at the moment it's just going to be stuck here, you know, for ages, not doing stuff. By the sound of it. Okay, so it was £1.25 a bottle. But yeah, it's kind of a brownish ale, this one. So here's the old, I might as well put it on this one actually, the old CF4 filter, CS4 filter, whatever they're called. No idea if these are safe or not, but as I said before, the Czech ones are actually much better at keeping the particulate material inside the filter. You can't really see in there that well, but knowing the commies, it might be asbestos, but hey ho. I think asbestos is the least of our worries right now, isn't it? So let's put this filter on this one, but there's something very cool with the other one I'll show you in a minute. So this one, lots of you know this, Czech CS4. CS4? Is it CS4? I'm doubting myself now. I haven't even started drinking yet. Because it's the Polish MC1, isn't it? Czech CS3? Czech. It is CS4, isn't it? CM4. Yes, you're right. Piano Knight says don't use a filter too late. I'm only going to use it very briefly, but I've got something cool to show you of the other one. But what you might see is with this one, I finally got a CS4 that fits me properly. CM4 even, I keep doing it. So there you go. The oral nasal cup's a bit squashed over apparently like 30 years of storage, as you can probably see, but the nice thing is this is a one that actually fits me properly. See that? So there's that. Let me read your thing, TM selection, sorry. So he says, "Are traps gay? Also shout out to my S10 gang." Hello to the S10 gang. I would say traps are gay, but there's nothing wrong with being gay. If you want to be gay, be gay. I have nothing against people who are gay. So there we go. This is the more interesting one. So kind of a newer bag. And look at this. It's a CM5D. Now, there's one thing that is a bit annoying with this, and a modernish GOST filter, which is cool. So here's the cool thing with this one, right? It's still GOST. Why the Czech Republic was making masks as late as the 2000s in GOST, I don't know. I noticed this is a 2016 GOST filter. It actually says on there, look, GOST, so you can be completely sure this is a GOST filter. Flick this light on now. GOST OZ40X4. Yeah, the cool thing is, check CM5D. But there's one thing that annoys me a bit with this. It's got a ridge in here, look, for mounting glasses in it. But the ridge gets right in the way of your vision. And I was having a look, and I don't think without permanently ripping it out, there's any way of getting that ridge off, unfortunately. Because it seems to be, it's molded into the rubber at the top and the bottom. So, yeah, here we go. So, check CM5D. Basically, again, same mask as the CM4, but just black rubber, panoramic lens. But, of course, the panoramic lens is ruined a bit by having that glasses insert you can't seem to take off there. But, yeah, the cool thing is, modern GOST filter. So, if you got one of these, you can put this on a GP5 or whatever, no issue. So, yeah. I'll add this to the list of recommended GOST filters. The Czechs are actually still making GOST filters, which I did not know about, because they're a NATO member, aren't they, the Czech Republic? But yeah, there you go. So, old CM4, newer CM5D. The earlier CM5s literally look like that one, but in that same colour, just with a panoramic lens. But there you go. So, I did a review. This will be up, the review for this one tomorrow. But yeah, surprisingly good, this mask. If you can still find these in the UK for like £50 that come with these GOST filters, I'd say go for it. So I'll put them behind me for now. Put my glasses back on. Go to the chat. Half gas masks. There's the GVS Ellipse behind me here. I'd hope I'm corona proof, but you never know. Ooh, look, there goes the glasses. Okay, hopefully that'll get rid of the smell or whatever was up with it. Altrix. Right, I'm being careful here because I don't want to break these glasses because the frames are nowhere near as good on this type. I've had them repaired or refurbished a lot of times. Yeah, the GVS Ellipse has been my go-to one for the time being, just because it's pretty compact. And then, there you go. So, that's my go-to half face mask. Anyway, let me take the masks off a minute, because I want to be keeping up with the chat and all that. And, you know. Well, it depends. If they disinfect their hands afterwards, Flazzy, you know, wash their hands properly afterwards, it doesn't matter. But yeah, if there's somebody not, you know, not covering a hand with a glove or cleaning their hand after they've handled a basket, which will have all sorts of germs on it, it's silly, isn't it? But yeah, anyway, so funnily enough, I'll go to the chat again in a minute, but what was interesting was my mum said to me, because remember, if you didn't know, my mum wanted a half face mask from me. So she's got my Scott MSA. Is it Scott? No, it's Scott MSA. MSA Advantage 410 with a P3 40mm filter on it. And the security guard at Tesco said to her today, apparently, that's a really nice mask. Where can I get one? And she didn't know what it was called or anything. She said, oh, my son gave it me. Don't matter, Anarchy. Let me add you on Discord then. Did you hear about this insane $2.2 trillion bill passed here in the US? That's a good chunk of it going towards absolute BS stuff, bullshit stuff, completely unrelated to coronavirus. No, can you tell us what some of it covers? I don't normally get into politics too much on here because I just find it too depressing. But tell us what it entails then a bit. I know Trump was saying he wants every check that's given to an American with corona relief with his name on it, so people are more likely to vote for him, I guess. You gotta love Trump being Trump, haven't you? You know, gotta have my name on it, folks. They gotta see it from Donald Trump, Donald J. Trump. Anyway, let me finish. Oh, Fleffer's idiot says just bought the Czech CM7M. Let's see what the CM7M is. The weird thing is, I actually prefer the Czech Civil Defense series to their military mask. Czech CM7 mask. When I've searched that, there's lots of different results coming up, but all of them are just different models of Czech masks. Oh, is that the dual filter one that Myra resold their own name on it? Oh, of course, yeah. So it's the original mask, not the fucking Myra variant. There we go. For those of you that don't know why I complain about Myra, and a lot of other people complain about Myra, it's because Myra simply just do masks, do the Czech masks. They basically make the Czech masks and they put their own names on them and then they sell them for way higher amounts of price. So if you want to get a Myra mask a bit cheaper, just buy the Czech, basically Czech Civil Defense ones. Who are you replying to, Altrix, where you said don't use the filter? Because it depends on the filter, doesn't it? At the moment, Mozu, I've done all the videos I can on half face masks, and all the ones I've got, I've done videos on. And I don't think there'll be many more for sale for the time being, I'm afraid. Kevin says, I am wondering about masks in rain. Thank you very much. He says, does rain degrade the life effectiveness? No, water on the mask itself shouldn't be an issue. Because obviously the mask itself is going to be withstanding most masks chemicals, you know, and some of those chemicals are much more horrific than just regular rain, even if it was acid rain or something. However, if you've got filters where the water can get into the filter, then that could cause problems. Say, for example, this mask. Obviously, the filter is pretty exposed, as you can see. You can see the filter medium there, like the papery stuff there, the paper heaper. Let me just, sorry, I'm going to try and get this light at a good angle where, so the webcam will focus. But the problem is paper heapers and things like that. If water gets into that, water will degrade them, make them soggy, you know, and screw them up. So your masks themselves are going to be absolutely fine in the rain. The issue is going to be mostly, I would say, you know, making sure the rain doesn't get into the filter. Right, Chad, there's something I need to order after this stream. What I want to do is what a few other people have suggested and buy some sort of vacuum cleaner like heaper bag where it's meant to be air flows through the bag, but otherwise it's a bag, and try and fashion a mask from some of those. I think the idea, Riddle fell, is that people slowly would get infected anyway, and that way less strain gets put on the services. As in, if people are quarantining every now and then, people will get infected. Some of those will need to go to hospital, but the hospitals don't get overwhelmed. And then the idea being that as and when people have had it and have, overcome it, if they've not died, they can return back into doing regular stuff, and then it will drag on for the rest of them until a vaccine's created. Although that's in theory, isn't it? I imagine in reality it will never work out that well. I already said I can't do more half face mask videos because I reviewed all the ones I've got. And if you haven't been following the news, you're not going to be able to get masks anymore. Hopefully a troubled man. Problem is everything so far where people have said this medicine might work, that will work, they only have worked to very limited extents or not worked. So I think people might be a bit disappointed if they're putting a lot of hope in that. Because, as I've said lots of times, if I get a firearm certificate, firstly you have to go through all the hoops of applying for it, and then the police are allowed to search your house whenever they want. And while I've not got anything illegal here, I don't like the idea of the police randomly just being able to turn up at your house without a warrant and search it. Because if you've got a FAC, they can do that. Because part of owning a firearm certificate means the police are allowed to come in to check your guns at any point they want. And I kind of see that as a big, thing on a civil liberty. The idea that by having a firearms license, which is essentially just renting a gun, because they're allowed to take them away from you at any point, they can say, we're turning up at your house, we're searching it today. Whereas not encouraging anybody to do it, but let's say you had an illegal firearm that had no registered paperwork with it, you could store that however you wanted and the police wouldn't know you have it, so the police wouldn't turn up to search you. So I'm not encouraging people to break the law and obviously get unlicensed black market firearms. But the point is that in the UK, when you get a firearm certificate, there are so many things attached to it. That's why a lot of people don't go for them, because shotgun certificate is the same thing, Jamie. SGC is less strict than an FAC, but SGC still allows the police to enter your house whenever they want, as far as I'm aware from all the legal stuff I've looked up. I've actually got a gun safe in the other room. Gun safe, it covers me for part of getting an SGC or an FAC, but I just use it to store my air rifles. Interestingly, Ninja Master, there's a lot of firearms you can get that aren't classed as firearms in the UK because they're obsolete calibers, all the weird stuff like that. But I don't want to, derail the entire stream probably talking about coronavirus and masks, talking about firearms licensing. But railways and signals is spamming the stream. Thank you. Both of you got him at once. Druid H said, I bought an MC1 and an OM14 bag along with one of those Chinese hoses off eBay. Pretty cheapy stuff, mostly because it's cool, but might come in handy someday. Oh, it might come in handy sooner than you think, unfortunately, of how things are going at the moment. Here's another thing, though, to do with the stuff. Do you reckon any SGCs or FACs are going through at the moment? Because surely if the police have to come around your house in the first place to verify you've got the gun safe and all that, and lots of non-essential shops are closed, how are you going to... The police probably say, no, we don't have the resources to check you, so you're going to go on the waiting list. And I'm assuming even if you got the thing through, you couldn't go to a gun shop, could you, at the moment? Just because of how many shops are closed. So, yeah. That's just something I was just sort of thinking about there. With a lot of the stuff, I think anything people did want to do might be on hold for months at the moment. Seth says no chance of FAC at the moment. Yeah, so it's kind of what I was just saying. And don't forget to like the stream, everybody. If you come on, there's 4 times as many people on as likes. Yeah, so a few of you saying that. But yeah, that's what I thought. There's a lot of things at the moment you just cannot do at the moment because all of the quarantine rules, isolation rules, that means so many businesses and that have stopped working. What, 6.2 trillion don't matter? Is that how much Trump's or this bill is covering? 6.2 trillion of US taxpayer money. That's good beer. Oh, our fascist friend is back. The one who said, I'm a fascist for having a Geiger counter. That's fine, Benjamin. You're allowed to dislike. I mean, you do live in a free world, don't you, Benjamin? And here's the thing. If you had your communist rule you like so much, you wouldn't have freedom of expression. They'd put you in a gulag and put a bullet in your head. So there you go, my communist friend. I'm glad the, communist in this chat has the freedom to dislike my content and call me a fascist. Because if he lived under the system he so, likes to boast about on the internet, he would not have those freedoms. But yeah, there we go. A mod's got him anyway. Oh, thank you, Kevin. Let me read your comment. He said, contrary to popular belief, you must do a background check to buy a firearm in the USA. Some states have suspended the check so you can buy one in some states anymore. Yeah, I knew in America, obviously, there were things, because the weird thing is I know some people like say, ha ha ha, England's gun laws are so fucked up. USA is so great, but I know it really does vary, doesn't it, in the states, depending on what state you're in, state laws as well as national laws. Like California has all the, really restrictive gun laws. Yes, I've got an M40. Let me look that one up, Mob, and I'll tell you if it's any good or not. Let's do an eBay item number search. But yeah, this random bloke, right, has been making accounts to spam me every time with his Antifa picture, calling me a fascist. And he said, I don't need a Geiger counter, I'm a fascist earlier. That's a copy of a 3M mask. I'm trying to remember the number, but that would be absolutely fine. You know those 3M flat pads, like the P3 pads you can buy for the plastic bits? So, I'm trying to think of the word. If you have like a 3M, but that mask will be absolutely fine. If you have like a 3M 6000 or 3M 7500, if you have the ABEC filters or any of the vapor filters, there's a little bit, so you add a pad on top of it. That's how the P3 bit works. It's a mask that takes those pads and that acts as the filter. Thank you, Marcus. Hope you're all right. Is Hong Kong still doing a good job at the moment? Because I saw they're doing a much better job than a lot of us in Europe at the moment. But I suppose they had the SARS experience. Wow. I think then Polaczek, Bidacek, sorry, I'm probably butchering the name. Is that either Czech or Polish? He said, my German friend has been called a Nazi by a nurse wearing a gas mask. To be honest, I think at the moment, if a nurse is calling him a Nazi, the nurse would be smarter to have a mask at the moment, considering. Right, that's good to know. At least some people are getting on all right, Marcus. But yeah, over here, we're being told now we might be in lockdown for 6 months longer on the government conference earlier, and it makes you bloody. The thing is, I'd much rather they put in lockdown measures, and control the spread of it, because we're so ill prepared here. But it does make you kind of wonder, why we just didn't do active steps early on and massively get away from this being a disaster. But oh, and thank you, Ryan. He said, thank you for the videos. Have you heard about the unrest in southern Italy? Apparently some can't access money from their banks. I hadn't heard about money from the banks, but I'd heard food rioting, food looting had started. And again, that doesn't surprise me. If people are getting into financial hardship, people have got to eat, people have got to feed their kids, haven't they? And this is what a lot of people were saying for a very long time. I'm not saying I'm taking credit for this, just lots of people were saying it on YouTube and elsewhere, that there's one thing being the virus itself, the other thing is all the strains it puts on all the other things, whether it be, food supply, money supply, all that. And sooner or later, you're going to see cracks in every country starting to form, whether it be civil unrest over something or something else. Altrix, thank you. He says, ha ha ha, Altrix, go free money, brr, money printer, go brr. I like that meme for some reason. I don't know why. But yeah, this is the thing. That again, there's all this logistic stuff around just a virus. It's not just whether you get infected or die yourself, and a lot of people can't seem to grasp this. A lot of it comes down to, how well covered you are against the other implications. And in the UK at the moment, we are seeing body armor sell out, like riot equipment sell out, crossbows sell out, which again makes you think down the road something quite nasty might be coming. I've got anti-looter gear, Nathan. I've got a hat that gives me bonus protection against looters. Haven't you seen it? Thank you again, Marcus. You returned from the UK, so you're actually in a better place at least at the moment, Marcus. So you pick your timing quite well there. But yeah, see, I've got my hat that gives me plus 10 damage to looters. I've also got this to go with it, which I'm not allowed to show on a stream. So whoops, I shouldn't have done that. But there you go. Yeah, I've got a few hands, so I'm not worried. But I've just had this stuff because I've been interested in it for years. Well, have you heard, speaking of Freds and traffic wardens and all that weird shit, apparently traffic wardens are still going around at the moment, despite the lockdown issuing tickets to people. I don't know why I found that really funny, but yeah, I don't have the bandage of eye holes. I'm glad some of you know what it is, because there's some people probably thinking, oh, what's a traffic warden hat got to do with anything? But again, they haven't seen Fred, so they don't understand that that's the person going to shoot them. But yeah, so I guess at the moment it'll be traffic wardens just still issuing you tickets like a dickhead, and then in a few weeks' time it'll be traffic wardens shooting you. But yeah, so anyway, basically, for the people who don't know about the traffic warden thing, I'll just quickly explain that before going back to other chat messages. There was a very disturbing British film made in 1984 called Freds. Freds was a film about, it's a bit like The Day After made in America, but even more bleak, about what would happen following a nuclear attack. Basically how life breaks down, authoritarian sort of feudal governments and that sort of thing. And one of Britain's plans, and this was a real thing during the Cold War, if they had to enact emergency powers, was to deputize lots of different bits of, people who were not police, but kind of similar enough to police. And traffic wardens was one of them. So they made them a thing called auxiliary police, where they were allowed to go around shooting people. So one of the iconic things from Fred's was a traffic warden with bandages all over his face, holding an SLR, basically shooting looters. And it's become sort of a bit of a very post-apocalyptic, small-scale meme, where if you talk about authoritarian sort of things or post-apocalyptic things, there's always the traffic warden with the gun. But yeah, so for the people wondering what the traffic warden hat had to do with it, I saw one on eBay and thought I have to bid on this. Oh, that's a point. I need to check if I want to bid on something on eBay. Pay now. Yes, I want to bid on it. Right, for those of you that don't know, the CDV 715, where my one was broken, somebody in the UK had one, was putting it up for sale. They didn't know if it worked, so I thought I'd put a bid on it. And it looks like I've won that bid. So I've won the bid for £15. Nobody else bid on it. Excellent. So I might have a working CDV 715 again. And then when I've got a working CDV 715, I can make the needle move, even though people are like, you can't make the needle move on the CDV 715. I can. Oh, right. Let me get back to the chat in case I've missed anything. So I just saw Max has done a super chat. Thank you very much. He said, saw your Geiger vid today. Love it. Could you review radioactive counter by Rolf Decline on the Google Play Store? Suppose it detects ionizing radiation from glitches in your digital camera. I'll have a look into that, because as I've covered before, you can see ionizing radiation through cameras. Thank you very much, Max. But yeah, I assume there wasn't another super chat, was there? I'd read it. Yeah, I had read the other one. But yeah, that should work, Max. If you've not seen, I can demonstrate this on the webcam using radium. But basically, gamma radiation interferes with cameras. It's why all the Chernobyl pictures are really sort of grainy. So what I should be able to do here, using this really strong bit of radium from the Soviet DP63, if I put this over the camera, you should start seeing white flashes on the camera. See that? The white flashes, a gamma ray is hitting the camera sensor. So yeah, an app like that should work. So I'll test that, because I've got check sources it should work with. But in theory, I think it should only work with gamma radiation, because it's gamma radiation that will mess about with camera sensors, because it essentially just goes through the sensor. As it's going through the sensor, it causes the issue. But yes, let me look into that app before I forget. But the answer is yes, I can. The answer is yes, I can try and review it and see if it works. But yes, in theory, you should be able to detect radiation using anything with a digital camera. But let me look at the name of that app so I can note that down. Rolf Dieter Klein, Google Play. Let's have a look. I'll get that up now because you've donated, so I don't forget. Because I'd hate to say, yeah, I'll do it, and then I completely think, oh shit, what was it later on? Because I'm good at doing that. Daniel says, any recommendations on masks that are up to £200? I want something I know will last. I got a Polish MC1 with a filter used and review, but the mask is corrosion. If you're spending up to that much, I would go for something like a Spaziani TR2002 or a similar panoramic sort of full face, well-made mask, or just go for any good quality military mask. Radioactivity counter. Let's have a look. Radioactivity counter. Right, Rolf Dieter Klein. Is it this one? Based on camera sensor, no extra hardware required. Cost £2.88. Right, here we go. Let's buy this and see if it's any good. You've paid for it anyway, Max, so thank you. I will buy it and review it. It averages 3.15 stars. But I have noticed a lot of people giving bad reviews to Geiger apps, don't understand how radiation works. So, you know, because I did see somewhere people buying gamma things or reviewing gamma only, like counters, and they're not saying, why doesn't it detect, you know, like this Fiesta wear or whatever? Well, because it's only detecting the tiny bit of gamma coming off there. It's not detecting the beta radiation. Right, there we go. I've bought it, so I will review that for you. I'll have a look at it properly after the stream, and then I'll review it on a video at some point. But hopefully that works. I mean, in theory, the science behind it should work fine because, yes, as we were saying, gamma rays going through cameras are detectable. It's like, let me show you something for those of you that don't know. There's a very famous picture, if I can find it, where it was taken from a helicopter, like a day or two after the explosion. And it looks really, really, really grainy. And the reason was, you get lots of people online, you know, saying, oh, it must have been because the photographer had a really bad camera. No, it was all the gamma rays hitting the film. Let's see if I can... Here's one of them, I think. That's one of the original pictures. Right, there's a bloody Guardian. Ah, here's the picture I was looking for. Right, here we go. So, this was taken from a helicopter looking at Chernobyl. So, yeah, if you've not seen this, it's not a grainy bad camera. The reason it's so grainy is all the gamma rays just flying into the camera lens. The eye can't see them, but they show up on film. And there's some other, if you watch some of the old video footage from Chernobyl, where it looks like there's loads of kind of film tearing and stuff, and that's just, again, gamma rays saturating everything. Yeah, well, he at least knows George, doesn't he? And I suppose they modelled the S10s properly in Call of Duty. Jared says, I'm making a longbow, but I have no clue on what arrows to make along with it. Could you advise me on what type of arrows to make or get, like feather or static fletch? If Richard Weaponsmith's in the chat, he would be the best person to ask about that. I've only ever used, you know, old style arrows, well, mass produced arrows that are always like, you know, the kind of plasticky, rubbery flights, and they work fine. Thank you, Michael. He said, thanks for videos. I was from Denmark. How are you doing in Denmark? I've not really heard much about Denmark with all the coronavirus stuff. Suppose I can get worldometers up and look at Denmark's numbers. But, Denmark. 2,395 cases, 72 deaths. So you're a bit behind us. We're at 19,000 cases, 522, sorry. And 1,228 deaths, up 209 deaths today. But obviously Italy's going up like 800, 900 deaths a day at the moment and 5,000 cases. I could do Marcus. Thank you. Yeah, I'll get around to doing that. At the moment, I think most people want Corona videos, but I will definitely do that because I've been quite tempted, in all honesty, to get one of the antique firearms from D&B Militaria where they sell them. just because some of them are reasonably priced, and I quite like the idea of owning a functioning firearm, even if it's, you know, one where it's almost impossible to get the old obsolete ammo for it. I do like the idea of having a functioning firearm. Yep, that was one of the things I was looking at, Martini Henrys, but there's quite a lot of old bolt action rifles that are just weird old calibers. Trainer? When you say trainer, do you mean jumper or polo shirt? It's just these ones I'm wearing because I'm not doing much exercise or whatever. I'm stuck in the house. That they're not getting sweaty or anything. But I'll be changing this jumper and shirt quite soon, just because I have had them on a couple of days in a row. But no, at the moment it's just because I'm stuck where I can't even get stuff dirty really, because I'm just sat around in the house doing nothing. Shirt. That's just a polo shirt if you're looking at that. Yeah, we'll be careful about talking about stuff like that on the stream, Nathan, but yes, you are right. Again, lots of these laws only stop people who want to be law-abiding. Richard Weaponsmith replied, he says, try getting feather-fletched arrows if you're shooting a traditional style longbow off the hand. Plastic vanes, if not shoot off a rest, tend to whack the hand on release, spoiling the shot. There you go, Richard answered you. So he said feathers are best if you're shooting a traditional bow. I guess in modern sports like bows, the plasticky, rubbery flights are fine. There you go. He's answered the question for you. Again, because he makes bows and like arrows and stuff, I knew he'd know a lot better. There's only one problem with that AK-74 guy. That will cover vapor filters, but if you have a particle filter, it only blocks particles. As people have said, incense is probably the best thing to test that with, because burning incense will often get stuck in a particle layer. Whereas, rather than the problem is if you've got something that makes a vapor, if you've got a non-vapor filter, the smells go right through. Let me link you, Marcus, because I bought deactivated firearms from them. Oh, it's been unbookmarked from my Chrome. That's very strange, but yeah, there you go. So on here, there you go. That's the site. So on there, if you go on the thing, like categories, they've got deactivated guns, obviously, and like pistols, shotguns, and all that. But they've also got obsolete. So, like, for example, if I search obsolete on the site, I can't remember if they said they're actually running properly at the moment, though, due to all the coronavirus stuff. So, like, obsolete caliber, double barrel pinfire shotguns, obsolete caliber Dries needle rifle. Also, like an old Swiss needle rifle gun. Schmidt Rubin rifle for £450. Oh, that's expensive. I'm going to say the obsolete caliber revolver looks really nice. But yeah, they have, for example, if it's obsolete caliber or classed as an antique, you can own them without a license. Yeah, they've got a Martini Henry on there for £695. Again, I really like the look of those, but should I buy one or not? It's a lot of money. But, it's a Martini Henry, isn't it? It would go perfectly with the Piff helmet. I don't know. But anyway, the point being, at least, that... oh, cheers again, Max. He said... I'm looking at an old comment. Sorry, ignore me. J15N... Sorry, J158N, thank you very much, $10. He said, do you have any pilot masks? Sadly, I don't. He said, I've been seeing a KM16 online for relatively cheap and was thinking of buying it for my Cold War collection. Sadly, no, I don't have any pilot's masks. They're really cool, but I've never seen any at a good price over here. I've only ever seen like damaged ones or ones for like £1,000+, so I've never bothered. I've only used a 3M 7500 out of those. The 3M7500 is nice, but I prefer the GVS Ellipse just because it's a bit more compact and comfortable for me, at least. There is no correlation between 5G and COVID-19. I will do it at some point, Shrimp Zoo, because a few people have requested light corona protection, heavy corona protection, and I was going to do a joke bit of once everything's gone past the point of even caring about corona. In terms of people smacking you, Miles plays games, it would protect you a bit against that, but if you mean like ballistically, no. Yeah, gas mask collector, as long as it fits your face fine, an M65Z would be fine. The only issue is for some people they don't fit very well. I might have what's Majiv saying there? But yeah, it's all weird stuff, isn't it, at the moment? Just how the world's going crazy, if that's what you mean. Specky says, have I tried the OM90 of a rifle scope yet? I read that it can be used for night vision goggles and other optics. I haven't, but I imagine it'll work because it's a rip-off of the S10 lenses and just not as good as the S10 lenses. S10s work fine with all that stuff because of the flat-facing front bit. The reason it works, let me get the OM90 out. I can show you why. Is this bit is front-facing and flat, right? So it's a bit like with something like the Shums. The S10, obviously the real S10 has all that bit being clear plastic as well, but because that front-facing bit is flat, that's why the scopes line up with them, because it's not like the actual lenses on an angle, like with a lot of masks. So yeah, to answer your question regarding that, I've not tried it yet, but I imagine it would work absolutely fine. But the issue being, of course, that I've not got around to doing it yet. But if you had to choose between an OM90 and an S10, I would still say go for an S10 because the OM90 is, I don't think I even saw him English nationalist, so don't worry. But if a mod hit him, a mod hit him, I guess. Oh, thank you again, Marcus. He says, where can I get bullets for obsolete guns? Any cheap good pepper suggestions? Right. For obsolete guns, I really can't tell you, and I don't know if that's going into the very illegal category, so I can't tell you that, I'm afraid, and I don't even know myself. I know people have been done over here, though, when they are actually doing it properly for getting guns to shoot people. Pepper suggestions. The only one I know of, that I've heard good things about, although I've not used it, is the Israeli civilian Papa systems, because they're designed to use just like AA batteries or something simple, not like weird military ones. So if you can find Israeli ones, look that up. Rusty said, that's a lot of money for a broken gun. No, that one I was on about wasn't broken, Martini Henry. That was fully functional, because if they're that old in the UK, they don't have to be deactivated. Just got a new Beretta M92 9mm for that price. Can you recommission easily for Boogaloos or something? As I said, that one doesn't need recommissioning. I don't want to talk about this stuff too much, but in the UK, if you buy obsolete or antique firearms rather than deactivated firearms, they're fully functional, just because of how weird our laws are and all the weird loopholes in them. I've got no interest in using Reddit, I'm afraid. But yeah, like I said, we won't talk too much in the comments, please, about obsolete guns and remaking obsolete ammunition, because that's why at the moment they're still legal in the UK. I think if enough people started doing the dodgy thing of buying them, getting rounds for them, then they wouldn't be legal for very much longer. Oh, I don't know, Peach. I wouldn't mind getting a nice kind of like pocket bout knife. I was thinking about getting like one of the Glock knives or like the Smith & Wesson, like kind of utility/combat knives, but I haven't done it. I'd still love to get a bayonet for my SLR at some point, but they're all stupidly expensive for what they are. Yeah, exactly, John. If you're legally armed, you're at least you're not at a disadvantage, are you? But then you still have to worry, so many people could take a shot at you, I guess. Oh, that's amazing. Bears Against Evil. So again, yeah, £30 or something like that's amazing, isn't it? Because for that price, I wouldn't care what it was. So punt guns, they're the ones for going on boats, aren't they? I assume Rhodesia, John, would have probably used old British masks, as in like British light anti-gas respirators, but I don't know if I've ever seen pictures of Rhodesian soldiers with masks. Sadly, I don't have a PO box, Ben. But thank you for the offer. But no, I don't have a PO box, so mostly I never accept things from people unless I know them quite well. I'm sure some people need strange conspiracies to believe in Eltrix. I don't know why. Yeah, I've seen CCCP astronaut and like MiG-25 kind of flight suits on eBay, but yeah, sadly they're often like £3,000, aren't they? I've never had any issues with my BEM 4GP, so I'd still recommend it. What do you mean, Trish? Do you read subs? Don't quite get that question. M says Rhodesian gear was basically all British except some imports from South America and Portugal. Yeah, so probably like anti-gas respirators, and I'd imagine maybe S6s. Best FFP3 mask, as in the one where the filter's built into the mask, Jay. I've never used any, other than things like GVS ellipses and all that. Probably about 150 odd, Tyler. Number goes up and down a bit over time. The thing is with quarantine is I think they're allowing people out to buy food. The problem is if the supply lines run out for the food. It's not like, people here can't leave their houses at all. You're allowed to leave your house for exercise, buying food, medicine, all that sort of stuff. You're just not allowed out to wander around like an idiot, like a lot of people are still doing. If you're after a Chinese TF1 mask, let me see if I can find you on AliExpress. They generally never call them by their real name. They call them like via just stupid names. So let's have a look for paint spray Soviet mask. No, they're not coming into that. Let me just type in paint spray mask. They generally give them stupid names like that rather than their real names. None coming up at the moment. Let me have a look on eBay. Right, found you one. Again, they've given it a massively buzzwordy name. There you go. Yeah, it's called a the name of it is Paint Spray Military Soviet Chemical Face Gas Mask Respirator 40mm with filter. There you go. That's what they call it. But yeah, the real name's the PF1. Or I think some companies give it their initials because I think TF is something like Tao Feng or something, isn't it? Which is the factory name. So technically they might not all be TF1s, but no, I'm not the messiah of gas masks. I imagine I'm the devil of gas masks, aren't I? All right, cool. I'll check Discord. What's it you want, Altrix? Altrix. I've not actually seen the Polar Express, I'm afraid. I know if people post pictures what it's from, but I've never actually seen the thing. What's that comment? Right. If it's the thing is about expired filters, Aldo. If it's a particulate filter and it's in good condition, it'll carry on working until it clogs. Walks on Mars just because there's too many in the fucking house, Bruce Lee. You're not too far wrong about that. Sadly, it's pretty hard to link to P3 filters at the moment just because of all of them selling out everywhere. Thank you again, Marcus. Not enough likes. Yeah, don't forget to like the stream. There's 400 odd people on 200 odd likes. Well, John, the answer didn't change from 10 minutes ago, but it's probably 150 odd. But that's just because I've lost count and I'm rounding that to like the nearest 25 sort of 50 number. So a lot of it is give somebody a mask if they need a mask who I know and they haven't got one, and then buy other masks to review. I wouldn't use a coffee can filter personally. Old Soviet ones contain asbestos. Modern coffee can filters are for certain vapors, not for viral protection. So how recently did the WHO say that? Because we all know it is airborne, because that's why it's spreading so quickly, because it's so virulent. No, I've never had sleep paralysis. I suppose I'm lucky in that regard. I get insomnia or not a lot, but I've never woken up and not been able to move. Miss Zombie Angel said, I had a tattoo plan before everything got crazy and closed. After the dust is settled, I think I'm changing my idea now to a cool looking gas mask. Fair enough. But yeah, I imagine there's a lot of things where people's plans have been things. I suppose then you can plan around it, can't you? Maybe change your mind on stuff. Preston, thank you very much, said, I'm not ready for 6 months inside. I need to camp. Yeah, I don't know how crazy I'll be going after 6 months inside. If I end up creating some sort of strange cargo cult centered around CBRN gear, you'll know why. Because I've probably totally lost it at that stage. But Kalansky says, how do you feel about the normally cheap mask going for ridiculous price and bids on eBay and other sites? It's silly, but again, it's just supply demand, isn't it? If everybody in the world, or like 70% of people using the internet at the moment that think they need a mask, demand goes through the roof. And then if the people of the supply can charge what they want, it's not right, is it? And it's not good. But unfortunately, that's the way things are. That Vic says opinion of old ass Soviet era German filters. What as in like HVAC or HMAC filters they're called, and Zivil-Schutz filters. If they're the Zivil-Schutz filter, I'd avoid using it. If it's the other one, the HMAC or HVAC, whatever it's called, I think that one's all right. Yep, you can watch Magnificent Bar Steward. It will be, live streamed daily. Dent says, I only have a single FFP2 dust mask, which says that it's disposable. Can I wear it more than one time? Yeah, most of it being disposable is down to how wet it gets from you exhaling onto it. You might be able to put a bit of plastic inside it as long as it's still airtight. Let me rephrase that. I don't want you to suffocate yourself. So here's a Soviet. I've not lost the thing. Good. I just had the thing refreshed then. Right, here's a Soviet Y2k mask. How they did these is they put some plastic inside to stop the material getting damp, and then they put these valves here. If you could fashion something like that on the inside of your mask, you could keep repeatedly using it, potentially. But if you kept breathing out onto it, and it is as it is, it wouldn't last very long because it would just get kind of soggy and damp and shit on the inside. I didn't panic buy any toilet roll, David. We've just had a decent amount for a while, so I didn't need to panic buy any. Zeke said, I got a Finnish M39 box and bag recently. Excellent mask, especially for when they were made. Mine still works, weirdly. When will this finally be over with? I'm afraid, USMC veteran, I do not know. In theory, by the end of next year, not this year, is when they think there might be a vaccine. If that happens, I imagine within months of a vaccine being made, everything, we won't have to worry anymore, just because there'll be vaccines for everybody. But in terms of lockdowns, hospital saturation, panic buying, I have no clue, in all honesty. What some countries want to do, and I think it's a good idea, is ramp up and ramp down, put pressure on them, release pressure with lockdowns and social distancing and stuff like that based on hospital capacity, which I think is quite a good idea. I might do Tricks as soon as I finish streaming, going to the toilet, and I might have a look at that app. But I'll probably play some Gmod tonight, yeah. STLND Thomas says, what mask would you recommend for £15 to £25? There's not going to be much option, I'm afraid. I know it's incredibly tight, but it's all I've got. I'd be leaning on a TF1 just because it's like the GP5 we can take NATO and cost effective. Right, issue of TF1. Apparently, depending on which factory they were made in, depends if they're NATO or not. So you might buy one and it still might end up being GOST. Sometimes the Chinese quality control on those is awful, where they've been made in a prison or a gulag and they're not glued together properly, so they don't work. Let me see for £15 to £25 if I can find you a mask that will work. Because for that money, you've not got much choice. And I don't want you buying something and then regretting it. So bear with me a minute while I look through some masks turning up on eBay. All right, I found you a mask. It's not the best mask in the world. It's apparently grade 1 condition, and it's easily repairable if the voice diaphragm sort of exhale breaks. But there you go. If you get this one, you can at least put replacement 40mm filters on it. I don't know the filter it's pictured with there, if that's a safe filter or you'll want to get a new filter for it. But the French M51 and the Belgian M51, as much as it's a very, very basic mask, you can at least put 40mm NATO filters on that. So I would personally prefer that to a TF1. Also, the satchels they come with are excellent. Those are the satchels they come in. I bought a load of those as spare satchels. They're excellent. But yeah, if they're in grade 1 condition, it hopefully means it's working. If not, just put some duct tape over the broken exhale valve. Ah, that sounds good, English nationalist. The Bogdanovs control everything. White Wolf, they made the coronavirus. That's my conspiracy. Dump it again. Or is it dump it again? What firearms do you own? W. Lawson. Well, I'm in the UK, so legally speaking, I don't own any. I've got some DX. I'm not even allowed to show those on screen. But in terms of what would fall under UK firearm law, I don't own anything. Because I don't have the police, we can search your house whenever we want to, firearm certificate. Yeah, M61's a lovely mask, Enderbros. Dumpy. Yeah, that's it. Dumpy digging. No, there isn't any in our country unless you opt in to do it. As in, unless you join up. We don't have like national service or anything anymore in the UK, and I'm not fit to serve anyway medically. So what's a Gagarin helmet? Let me Google it. I don't know what that is. Oh, as in a Yuri Gagarin helmet, as in a Russian actual like space helmet. That's pretty cool. Yeah, when he was saying that, I thought it was like a model of military helmet. Yeah, Fushida masks are very comfortable, aren't they, Brian? For filter, you just need a P3 P100 filter. As in, when it comes down to masks, it would be what could you wear for a long time and be comfortable in. Thank you, John P. It's John P. Riley. It's a bit of a mess, but it's got lots and lots of milsurp in here. Is that a Soylent Green reference? The Fighting Welsh? The scoops are coming. The big scoop trucks, like the big scoop riot trucks. I want to wait for your reply now. I wonder if that was a Soylent Green reference or not. Yeah, I just find all that stuff very interesting. I've been wasting way too much money recently on radiological detecting equipment, like old Geiger counters, ionization chambers, things like that, especially because they cost more than masks. But... Oh, and the funny thing is, my mum wore a mask to the supermarket today, she told me. And the mask, it was a mask I gave her, obviously, and fitted her for to check it would fit her and everything properly. And then apparently the security guard in the store wanted to know where she got one because he wanted one. And she just said, my son got it at me, so I don't know, was apparently the answer. I got some, yeah, bit of dirt on my shoulder. It depends how well a homemade mask is made, Aiden, but ideally get a proper mask and filter rather than the homemade one. Well, it's what the government said we had to be prepared for today, so it's not very... Yeah, thank you. Hashtag Altrix pays weapons and stuff 93 to spend money on Geiger counters. Well, I've got a new ionization chamber I paid for this evening. Well, when I say new, it's an old US CDV 715. That's a 720. But if the seller doesn't know if it works, I'm hoping it's working and it didn't cost too much. If it works, I'm going to do a video making the needle move on the CDV 715. Because lots of people on the internet seem to think a regular civilian cannot move the needle on a CDV 715. I can assure you I have got enough radium dials, I will make that needle move. Speaking of which, I think I've got something like another 40 radium dials on order. Just saying. So that needle will move. I will make sure that needle will move. Maybe Bravo. We'll have to see what goes on, won't we? Because the world as we know it might change quite substantially, I think, with all this coronavirus stuff. Yeah, I've played a lot of the Fallout games. The CDV stuff is what a lot of the old Fallout aesthetic was based on. The bright yellow kind of civil defense gear. If you think Fallout's blue and yellow color scheme, where did that come from? That's where it came from. If you mean what does a Geiger counter do, a Geiger counter counts radiation. So here's one just rigged up with a Soviet SBM tube. But it shouldn't be making that noise. EHT, set that 2.3. Yeah, there we go. Never mind, that's shorting at the moment. But yeah, what it does do is it detects ionizing radiation. If you're saying that, I'll go off in a minute. No, it's not. It's just, that's the electrical short circuit noise on this. So yeah, what the noise you should have been hearing is that sort of noise. Notice it gets louder and louder the more I point it towards that radium dial. But yeah, that's what a Geiger counter does. It counts radioactive particles. Well, radioactive decays, I think is the correct term. But, that's what a Geiger counter does. It's a very simple piece of machinery. I'll be off in a minute, but it's basically a glass or a metal tube that's got inert gas in it, say like halogen, and then basically when a radioactive decay goes through it, it passes electrical energy into the tube. That electrical energy is counted. There's not a lot, Santa. The thing you have to understand is how it works in reality, because I think a lot of what you might have seen in films and that has given you a false impression of how it works. No, they can't, Vicious Sheer, and you're talking bullshit there, so I'm getting rid of you. Sorry, you shouldn't have said something like that, because it's completely bollocks, made up shit. Basically, we're talking about decays and stuff like that. So, if you've seen movies, you probably think a Geiger counter just simply ticking means that there's a lot of radiation around. It doesn't work like that. So, if you have a Geiger counter on, right, even if it's in your house and there's no radiation, you will always have a Geiger counter ticking. I just want to explain this before I go off, because sadly, a lot of people are going to get the wrong impression if, if you have a Geiger counter, there's no radioactive stuff around at all. Well, there's always background radiation. This is my point. You will always have ticking on a Geiger counter because there is always background radiation. When there's a radioactive source around, it will tick more than normal. So, just to show you something, there's background rads, but when it was ticking faster, that was me putting it on something. Let me show you what I was putting it on, because again, something that lots of people might own and not even know it was radioactive. So let me show you something. Here is a rock. See that? Nice rock, look. It's torbanite. Now, does anybody know anything about torbanite? Here's a bit of torbanite. So, let me get... I won't get the rate meter back down because, again, I need to move that. I thought somewhere I had the... here it is. So let's use this. Ready? I'll put this on the other display. See that? The Torbanite is radioactive. The screen's probably not very visible on the webcam, is it? So yeah, sadly that might be a bit too bright for you to see, but the point is that this is way above background. So again, if you have a lot of different minerals, they can be radioactive. So yeah. All right, if you want to see this, again, you might see the flashes coming off of this into the screen. Again, Torbanite. I'll show this and then I'll go off. You might see some of those white flashes coming off of this due to radiation. Oh, you're getting a DP63A, are you? Thank you very much, Radio Nuclei 95. But yes, you get both a bit of strontium 90 in there, but more importantly, you get a very, very hot bit of radium in there. Because, yeah, sadly you won't from this. You will from the radium, but yeah. The back plate on the DP63A is that bit that overloads my therapy, which gives you some idea how hot it is. The Hugo M1 mask is not good, I'm afraid. I mean, it's better than having no mask in a time like this, but in terms of quality of a mask, not very good. So yeah. Druid H said, what places do you recommend for Geiger counters since I can't find much on eBay Canada? Ooh, can't you find much on there? My favourite one out of all the ones I use is the EcoTest Therapy. If you search that, you should be able to buy it directly and have it shipped from EcoTest. That's the favourite out of all the ones I own. But there's a lot of different models. Again, it depends what you want to get, but I'll give you one to search for, Druid. I'll go off after this, but if you search, I've done a review on this channel. If you search that, you should be able to buy it directly from them. It's quite expensive in terms of cost, but it's very, very good for the price. If you don't want to spend much on one, the only thing I can recommend is one of these that I did a video on the other day. You know, on these little mobile phone Geigers. Because if you're paying a low price range, this is probably the best you're going to get. If you're paying a lot, the best you're going to get is the Therapy by a mile. There might be things better than the Therapy, but I've not really seen them on the civilian market, in all honesty. Because the problem is buying old military Geigers, a lot of them use obsolete batteries or bits are worn out, you know, so the probability they may or may not work is quite high. The Geiger counters in the price range under the Therapy tend to have a lot of issues with them, as in, you know, they overload at low radiation levels. You know, like they haven't got very good battery life. I don't know what the mobile one maxes out at. The problem is you can still overload them, because when I was doing a video on the mobile one the other day, if you didn't see, I put the strontium 90 on it. If you put the strontium 90 directly on it, it stops recording. Greg says Swiss SM67 with P3 good for COVID. It'd be absolutely fine. As long as it fits you, the mask is still in good condition. It's a 40mm NATO mask, so it'll be fine. It might even be DIN actually, but it'll be fine. I've had a hazmat suit, as in a hazmat A suit, and done a video on it. Search Polish UB1 suit on my channel. There's NBC suits behind me, look. Anyway, see you all. Thank you everybody that donated. It's been a great stream again. Especially all the people that donated via money or whatever, because yeah, I'm still drinking that one. Look, it's quite a big beer, but I don't want to drink it too fast and get really drunk. The problem with Gamma Scouts are Mr. Mr. Deja Vu King. I will answer you and then I'll be off. The Gamma Scout, I've not had one, but most Gamma Scouts have quite a low max radiation range. So that's the only issue of them. For what they cost, they do not have the range a Therapy does. I like Mead, AK-74 guy. I like Mead a lot. But I do like the Gamma Scout. Some of them can do Alpha, Beta, and Gamma, and they've got like the kind of variable open window to do each thing. That's very cool. Yeah, I'll look into that Altrix once I finish this. But other than that, you know, they're quite slow to update on radiation levels. Like where I can put my Therapy on a bit of radium and it can read something like, you know, 2 millisieverts in a second. There's a BioNerd video where she puts a Gamma Scout on a radium dial and it takes like 5 minutes to get to 1 millisievert. Yeah, I've got a Polish Op 1 suit and they're nice. So anyway, see you all. Good evening. Cheers. Stay safe. Goodbye.